And here we go. Spiky Bits. Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and we have the new Dominion box for Age of Sigmar, the third edition of the rules. Of course, the game's been out since 2015, got an update in 2018, and here we are in 2021 with the third edition of the game. So it's pretty exciting times. Lots of new models. Stormcast getting kind of a new direction. The Oruks are kind of getting a sub-faction sort of thing, and definitely have some pop culture kind of feel to all of their models. You know, it kind of looks like hobgoblins crossed with urukai, and there's, you know, some mysterious under kind of pinnings as to who the hobgoblin, at least who their like true dark masters are, probably chaos dwarves. And supposedly we'll see something on the Oathbreakers in the near future in Sigmar 3rd edition. But for now, we've got this box and it's ginormous, so let's take a closer look at it. So here it is. It is ginormous. It's probably, I want to say it is probably thicker than Indominus. Do I have an Indominus box? I don't have an Indominus box handy, or lid at least, but I want to definitely say it's thicker than that. Now, I don't think it's thicker than the Necromunda terrain box that they came out with, the Dark Uprising, but I think that was technically the largest box they've ever come out with for anything Games Workshop to date. But this is definitely very significant and very, very cool. I can't wait to get that open. But what I wanted to do first was show you kind of our projected values for all the models that are coming in here based on, you know, what we've seen in the past from the Stormcast kits, the Oru kits, and a lot, kind of some comparisons to Indominus too, because if you remember when it came to Indominus, after that box came out, we saw it re-released a ton of times over the, you know, preceding 8 to 12 months after that. But also we saw some of the kits come out one for one, like the Necron Warriors were push fit. They came out as push fit. The Outrider bikes were push fit. They came out push fit. The Assault Intercessors came out with a multi-part kit. So there, you know, at least from, you know, the customer perspective, there really isn't any rhyme or reason as to what they're going to release, in what order, and perhaps in what format. So getting it all in one box ahead of time, there is of course some value to that, and it looks like, as we're going to see from these values too, that they are a lot closer, like more equal. Like the Stormcast is about the same as the Cruel Boys, which is kind of cool because, you know, if you want to split it with a friend, that's dope. It seemed like, at least from my perspective, on our side of things, like our Patreon supporters, that we actually get a lot of these boxes and then send them out, you know, the different parts and things for what people want. It seemed like there was more requests this go around for the rulebook. So I think that, you know, a lot of people might be set in the ways that they're, or the factions and the armies they're already playing for Sigmar, but they're interested in getting the rules. But then there's the folks out there that might start, or hey, I want these dope Stormcasts, or oh, hey, you know, these Cruel Boys are looking pretty fresh too. Let me jump on some of that. But either way, we'll have lots of releases for the Stormcasts and the Cruel Boys, I am sure, starting at least August, September. And probably we'll see that, you know, floating on into some new factions coming out. Because remember, they alluded that a lot of destruction models and factions, maybe some new factions, might be coming out in at least the near term for Sigmar, which would be my guess, of course. So with that being said, let's jump into some potential values, unbox the kit, put the models together. By put them together, I mean, I'm probably just going to push fit them because they're all ETB. So over on SpikyBits.com, we did a pricing and value breakdown. That price part was easy, but the value breakdown is obviously our best guess. You know, I think we dialed it in pretty good. We're obviously wrong sometimes, so take this with a grain of salt. So the box itself is $200. And you can always get your hobbies for less from dicehead.com, your local retailer, or of course Amazon, you know, if you're trying to get that sweet 2-day shipping. But most retailers will have this for at least 15% off, and they also will have some pretty good little swag items to give out too, and I'll show you some of that with what might be out there. But Games Workshop has some exclusives on their site too, so you gotta, you know, kind of weigh it all together. Now, I will give you this caveat. GW shipping is not fast. If you don't get it delivered to the local GW store, they will ship your items on or slightly after the release date, meaning you won't have it till like a week later. I think it's good if you're going to pick it up at the local G-Dub store and you don't have a local game store, or you hate the local game store owner, but I just don't see a lot of reason to order this stuff directly from Games Workshop. Plus, you're giving them 100% of the profit. But they don't need more money, folks. We got to vote with our hobby dollars. We got to prop up the hobby stores, you know, and the people that we engage with, you know, always support them. And maybe, hey, maybe that's GW for you. You do your thing. I'm not going to tell you how to vote with your hobby dollars. Just vote with them. So here's the values that I think are pretty close for the Cool Boys. We'll start there. So you got the 10-man squad of Gut Rippers at $60. I think that's pretty accurate. We've seen similar stuff with Illuminous Realm Lords and the Bone Reapers too. So I think that's dialed in pretty good. Now, when it comes to the special characters like the Shaman and the Pot Grot, they may not be offered separately. You know, that might be one of those like start collecting / new core battalion boxes that they're probably going to come out with. And they might kind of take the sprues that go together the best and then pop them together into that sort of configuration like we saw with the re-releases from Indominus. The Gut Rippers look like they are going to keep them as the Gut Ripper kit. I don't think there's going to be a multi-part one. The Hobgobs too. So, and I think those are going to be about $50 based on, you know, other releases as well. The, you know, $25 for the Merc Knob. Skewer Bolt Boys at $50. We see some of these elite level, you know, kind of 3-man stuff go for about $50. It could be more, could be less, could be a squad of 6 for $50. We just don't 100% know. But remember, these values are very close to Indominus, so chances are there's gonna be a little variance here, but not like 50% variance. So, you know, take that for what it is. Now, the big guys like the Killer Boss on the Great Gnash Tooth, and then also Yggdrasil, the Celestial Spear. Those are bigger style models, but are, you know, again, I think some of these independent character sort of things, or these characters, are going to come out in a separate offering for like, with some of the troops level stuff for like, you know, 150 to 170, which we saw with the Death Guard, or excuse me, we saw with the Necrons and the Necron Royal Court and the Space Marine Heroes, or whatever they called it for Indominus, for like $150 later on. So I think that's going to be the only way to ever get those if you don't get them separately from somebody that's breaking down sprues. So all in all, both iterations of this set, this one we're calling $305, the Stormcast we're calling $295, are right around $300, so about $600-ish. Plus the rulebook, you're at $660. The Indominus box we had at $710, which was, these are really close, like separate by $50. So there's definitely going to be some variance for sure. I think on the troops for the Stormcast, you know, the Vindicators are going to be a big one, and it looks like those are going to be the actual Vindicator offering by how they're laid out in the box, and I'll show you that in a second. I think those are pretty close to actual retail here. And then the Annihilators, again, they could come out with a 6-man box for hire, but I'm going to put them at $50 for right now. That's just kind of what I'm thinking. The Praetors, and then the special characters, again, I've told you my thoughts on them. I think we're going to see some configurations based on how the sprues are laid out in the actual box. But either way, splitting it with your buddy for $100 each or less, depending on where you're buying it from, I don't feel like you can't go wrong, or you can go wrong with that if you're both interested in one of those specific factions. But like I said, it seems like a lot of people are more interested in the rule books, at least from the comments and the communication and the interactions we've had here right now. So I know for me, I'm not interested in either, because I already have a couple Sigmar armies and I'm just really kind of interested in the rules. So that's where I'm at. But you know, let us know in the comments where you're at, you know, because it's gonna be wide open with the 3rd edition of any rule set coming out. We've seen a lot already. Whew. So here it is, man. Let me tell you what, this is some serious chunkiness to the box. Oh, as I bend over my old people back here. Okay, so right on top we've got the little cool poster. You know, it's got the old style like Sigmar thing on the back here, and this is designed basically to protect the sprues, but also the components like the box or the all the little magazines and things that come inside it with the rules and everything. And then you've got like probably a solid 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches of just sprue here, and then another little mini poster, which is really cool. And you can get legal size poster frames, 11 by 17 for these, and frame them up, but you're probably going to want one that doesn't have a bunch of like divots in it and things. And then you get down to the nitty gritty, which you're going to get the rules packet, the instructions, the fluff book, the Warscroll cards, which I'll show you here in a second. With if you get them from your local retailer, they're going to have some little swag, including sleeves for your little Warscroll card thingy game aids that I love. And then here's the rule book itself. I'm not going to open it. We're not going to really talk about it because there's like 1 million people on YouTube already that have it. They've showed you like every page. We know all the rules breakdowns already. We've broken it down on the site, so you can definitely look for all the new changes for Sigmar 3.0. And then the big chonky bases. Then these are going to have the little cutouts in them, just like we saw with Indominus. So you got a 105 oval here, and then it varies in size all the way down to it looks like 25 millimeters, but we'll find out when we open the instruction manual here in a second. So one of the bonuses to picking up and pre-ordering from your local retailer is you get a bunch of these swag items here, which is really cool. And we saw the same thing with Indominus. So they have this cool little pin right here that's pretty high quality, to be quite honest. The new Squig Shield keychain, pretty dope, right? And then they've got some art prints. They're not individually numbered. They're just like basically numbered out of the series. And then they have Warscroll sleeves. So for those little, you know, Warscroll Battalion cards, the game aids, the great looking things, you know, they're cardboard, they could fold, they could ding. Well, you can get sleeves for them at your local retailer too. Now these aren't, it looks like it's 4x6, you know, for postcards and stuff, and you can buy 4x6 top loaders on Amazon to put things in, but the Warscroll cards actually are just slightly bigger than this, so you can't actually use anything that's commercially available for postcards unless you get super custom, and I don't know what those items are, unfortunately. So if you do have a way to protect your Warscroll cards outside of these sleeves, let us know in the comments so we can check it out, because I have not been able to find it quite yet. But either way, these are available, you know, I'm sure limited stock and all that thing at your local retailer probably right now. Alright, jumping into the instructions, now is when everything becomes crystal clear as far as what perhaps we'll see the different iterations of this product. Because remember, we're going to get like 4 different starter sets, and then they may use some of these as the actual kits. So they tell you the sprue layout, like you're going to get 2 of the Vindicators up here, 2 of, who are these guys? Oh, the Hobgobs, and then 1 set of 2 different sprues of the Cruel Boys. And that's why I was saying I think these are going to actually be what's offered for them as far as their unit. And if they sell these separately, the Hobgobs will be there, the Vindicators will be there, and then you've got the rest of the stuff that kind of comes together like this, the various characters for the Stormcast, which, you know, I could see them taking this, this, and this, and this, and putting it into a sprue, and then something like this for the Cruel Boys, or maybe just offering these 2 separate things here, like we saw from Indominus, where they did the Necron Royal Court and the Space Marine Heroes, or whatever they called them. But either way, we're going to see way more of this, so get used to it there. They also mentioned that you can build variants of the different units in here, which is really cool to see. So those are going to all be color-coded, nothing we don't already know, but it's really cool of them to kind of say, you know, basically, hey, look out for that. So then you've got Yndrasa. She goes together. It looks like she's, you know, all push fit and everything like that. And we'll put that together and kind of get a better idea. The Lord Imperatant and his little Griffhound, and his little Griffhound too. He looks pretty dope. I think a lot of people are going to like that model. The Knight Vexilla, Vexilla lore, front and back half, looks pretty simple. Oh, no, he's got an arm too. He's got an arm too. All right, fair enough. Knight Arcanum has the 2 different heads, I believe. Yep, there's the 2 different heads. And then the Annihilators are super chonky and looking fresh. There they are right there, one with the shield down. The Praetors are the ones that you could, I think they show you, yeah, here it is. They show you how to make the 2 different versions of them, depending on what you want to do and how many you have. I think they come with 10. We'll have to check that. The Vindicators, though, however, there's 2 different sprues of them, and I don't think they were identical, or they were identical, so you can swap them out. So there's, these are the different poses you can have. So that's pretty cool that they can include the same amount of sprues, and you have 10 different looking models right there too. These guys you only get 3 of, so you can... It's going to be interesting how those go together. Okay, we'll check those out. And then you've got all these extra bits and things to put in the little nubs that you might not use for their feet, which isn't quite anything new. And then the kill boss, you know, he's going to be the big baddie on the Cool Boy side. It looks like he goes together left and right halves. Long stems right here, which always kind of creep me out. Like, are they going to seat okay? I don't know. But we'll check that one out for you, because I'm definitely going to want to put that guy together. The kill boss and the stab grot. Stab grot's got 3 pieces. That's crazy. But looks like it goes together okay. And then the Swamp Kala Shaman. Swamp Kala, his little grot dude is 5 pieces. That's interesting. Almost as many pieces as him. Merc Knob. I hate to get murked. Nobody wants to get murked. And Man Skewer Bolt Boys. They don't look too hard. Left and right halves with some weapon arm things. Gut Rippers. Those are going to be your troops, and they have different variants as well, so you can have a whole bunch of different ones in your 10-man squads. I think anything that has the multiple poses is what we're going to see offered later on as their own kit. And then the Hobgobs, very similar to what we saw in the Cursed City offering to make all the different looking ghouls. And they can kind of do the same thing based on the heads and based on the front halves. So very dynamic looking possibilities and posabilities for a lot of the units in here. And then the ones that, you know, are the super mega boss sort of dudes, all these guys right here, those are probably going to be a separate offering if I had to guess later on down the road. And before I start building, I wanted to show you these Warscroll cards. But, you know, they're very well done. They're not like last time or the last ones we saw that were kind of generic. So you've got your Cruel Boys points and stuff like this. Now remember, we saw similar stuff for Indominus in 40k, but then they changed it once the rules actually hit and all the FAQs came out with all the points, which I think is going to be very similar to what's going to happen this time with these guys. But for now, we've got all this information and we can, you know, kind of play with our models, so to speak, which is really nice. And then they got the dope art on the back for each one. Very, very cool stuff. I like how they did the light effects and everything in there for the army picks. And then these guys have the yellow lighting. It's very cool. They definitely go in the extra mile with their product. The product is not the issue when it comes to Games Workshop, I feel like. But we could fill another video with that. So I had to take a little break filming this this video because right about the time I got done with the last clip, I got news from retailers in the US that Games Workshop had slashed their allocations of Dominion box in half and promised them like half next week and half in August and then half whenever, like just chunks depending on how many they ordered. When I say half, I mean like 15. Like a lot of stores order 30, 45, so they're getting 15, 15, and 15, right? And, you know, I got really upset because, you know, this hobby, I've basically dedicated my life to it at this point. Like, you know, I've been involved with the hobby since the late 80s. I played every edition of 40K. I played mostly every edition of Fantasy, starting with 5th. So, you know, a big chunk of them, 4th, 5th. I don't even know at this point. But, you know, the last 12 years, we've created content. We've created communities. We've tried to help raise awareness, education for the hobby, and, you know, just provide better value to everybody out there. And, you know, I've been very thankful, and thank you for watching the videos, and thank you for going to the site. And but so when stuff like this happens and I start getting all these reports start flooding in from retailers, it upsets me because, you know, I used to be a retailer and it's so tough out there right now on retailers. So here's the deal, and you're not going to see this on any of the other unboxing videos because everybody already got their stuff from GW. You just don't decide. You just don't, on, you know, the day when this happened, be like, oh crap, we don't have as many copies in the warehouse as we thought we did. They're stuck in shipping. Like, that's just ludicrous to do all these previews and launch this whole like pre-sale preview, and you don't have these copies in your warehouse. Like, that's just bad business. That's ineptness. Like, if the number of copies in the warehouse didn't change from Monday when they took people's pre-orders to today. Like, and I said it when the Dominus happened. It did not change. The only thing that changed is Games Workshop realized how much money, this is my opinion, they could make if they moved this pile over to this pile and sold it on their web store. They make 45% more. It's a no-brainer. Excuse me, 55% more. Stores get a 45% discount, which is decent, but it's not, you know, for everything you sell, you have to put 5% back more with it to reorder it. So think about that for a minute. There is a give and take. So I went ahead and cut up some of these sprues, and I'm going to have lots to say about this allocation thing. It's to create a fear of missing out. So like if you want Dominion and you're watching this unboxing and you have no other way to get it than order it from Games Workshop, you know, vote with your hobby dollars, buy from Games Workshop, the web store. But if you got a local game store and you could afford to wait for them to get their extra stock in or whatever, maybe just do that, because Games Workshop has the data. They understand this many people order from our web store when things were allocated for the past 6 months. Now they have a precedent to how much extra money they can make. As they have more supply, allegedly coming in, they can sell more on their website and perhaps not give as much to stores. We saw it with Indominus. Now we're seeing it again with this. And it's the same thing happened over. It just happened a year apart. And Games Workshop is a great company. They have great designs. They have great people that work there. But their policies sometimes, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, I get what they're doing, but I think you just have to vote with your hobby dollars. And that's all I'm asking everybody to do, and can continue to ask everybody to do, is vote with your hobby dollars. If you have a local game store, try to buy it there if you can, you know, because the money stays in your local area. It benefits your local gaming community. It benefits your local game store. It doesn't go off into the ether across the ocean to another company that has literally been making all the wrong moves lately. Like, we got to stop rewarding Games Workshop for their bad behavior. And the one way to surefire do that is vote with your hobby dollars. But like I said, spend your money where you can. Spend your money where you gotta get your hobby stuff. I get it. Do it. But just keep all these points in mind as you're spending those dollars. That's all I'm saying. All right, so let's get back to the sprues. I'll show you the built models. I had some time to cool down. I was very livid, very red in the face. That's how you know I've either been drinking or I'm upset. But let's get back to it. So real quick, I didn't find anything that was too out of place as far as like numbers go, so there's no real gotchas there. But I did want to make a correction. You can't create a whole lot of variants for the figures besides the like the boss figure or the sergeant for each one. So that's what those are. You don't get a whole bunch of different poses that you can switch between, but each squad does come with a good number of different poses. Like you can look at all these and see those, but your boss miniatures are going to be the ones that are slightly different. So I kind of messed that up in the intro into these sprues here. But that being said, the sprues themselves are pretty well done. I mean, once I got these cut out and pushed together, you can kind of see like how it goes, and I'll give you my ideas, of course. So these are both identical sprues. This is probably going to end up being the Vindicator box set sprue, just because it's already done, it's ready to go. It's the same format as the Outriders for 40K, and I think that's going to be the case. Now, when it comes to all of the independent character guys for Sigmar, for both the so like on these little sprues here, for both the Cruel Boys and the Stormcast, trying to find where they are on these sprues here. So these two sprues are definitely going to be offered again, like as the whole sprue. But these ones, not that one, these ones right here, okay, these two are 4 different sprues that are 4 different special characters. So what's really cool to see is that you're going to be able to kind of rip them apart. Like the Merc Knob with that tongue banner thing, the Bleacher banner, like he is its own sprue. So chances are he's going to be offered separately at some point. And again, these are all push fit, so you can just pop them all together. And I already did a bunch, but I didn't do all the Stormcasts. And then this is what's left over after you put the characters together from the Stormcast and the big guys with the shield, the Chonkers. What are they called? I can't even remember all these names at this point. The Annihilators. Those are the Annihilators. So the Praetors are a sprue of 3 themselves, which will probably also be offered separately at some point. And they are pretty neat. We put one of those together. There you can see that. So that's probably going to be perhaps a sprue offering as well. This will be a sprue offering, all the characters. And the same thing on the Cruel Boys side. You get the bigger characters like the Killer Boss, the Stabby Boy, the Killer Boss on Super Chonk, Kill Boss on a Great Ignash Tooth, and the Kill Boss and the Stab Grot are all on this. The Swamp Color Shaman separate, the Murkdop with Bleach Banner, but the Man Skewer Bolt Boys are also on this. So you kind of get like a little start collecting box just from the sprue, and those are probably going to be the components that form the main re-releases down the line, and then they'll put some of the different other squads in there too. And then of course you've got the main troop sprue here that we pulled just one guy off of the Gut Rippers, and that's probably going to be its own separate offering. And then the Hobnobs too, again, are that 3 sprue, and they're wonderfully detailed. I'm going to show you these all assembled here in a second. I was really impressed with how they went together, but also the quality of like the poses and the sculpts are very dynamic. I would almost say a little bit more dynamic than the Indomitus stuff. Okay, so first up we got Yndressa, I guess is what she's called, the Celestial Spear. This is a really, really cool kit, and it was kind of fun to put it together and have all the little bits on here. Incredible like design, how it all goes together, how it all overlaps each other. Now you can see some studs and stuff. I kind of cut some corners to get it together and show it to you guys, but just incredible miniature all the way around. And you know, it's on a 65mm base. This is about how it compares to a normal Stormcast, and then we can switch to one of the Annihilators, and then you can kind of get an idea right there. So very, very cool stuff as far as like design and implementation. Now I imagine, you know, like I said, that sprue is going to go for about 150 bucks. So there's obvious value, just like we saw with Indominus. Here's the Annihilator guy, and he's a chonker for sure. You can see the gaps are a little exaggerated just because I put it together pretty quick, and I didn't use any glue. I pushed this stuff together. I did like basically one of every mini. It took about maybe an hour to knock it out and get it together. Now you can cut the stems, you can sock it in, you can use some glue and do a lot better job. But just to get them together and get plain, I think might be kind of fun to perhaps do it this way, of course. So there's that, and then we've got what the Lord Imperatant, which I think is also a neat miniature too. Just so full of personality and just awesomeness. Now this guy's on its own separate sprue, so I imagine we'll see him coming separately at some point. And then he's got his dedicated Griff Hound Mans right there. It's just very, very cool how it all goes together. Now there's some chunks and again exaggerated gaps, but for the most part they all socket together well and they fit together. Didn't have any problems or anything like that. The Knight Vexillor is right here, and he is also very, very dynamic. Got a lot going on there. This I was a little worried about, but it actually locks into kind of the back there with his head. He's got this sliver where it's his like head going all the way down to here, and then you got to stick the foot around here, so it kind of forms this little like tension thing to keep it all together, which kind of makes sense. It's pretty dope. And of course you got the embossing on there, so you basically paint by number at that point, which is kind of cool. What else we got here? I skipped the Knight Arcanum to show you on the sprue, and we showed you the Annihilator. The Praetors, where are the Praetors at? Here's a Praetor. Again, there's two different varieties for the boss. This is actually the boss miniature, so you can make this one of two different ways. You definitely want to use, if you're going to cut the stems and glue it together, definitely want to use some Tamiya super thin glue there to you know, get the cape to sit together with no gapping when you go to paint it. But you know, like less than 5 minutes worth of work, that's what it's gonna look like. Which is, you know, it is what it is, but it's incredible that it's even to that point in 5 minutes, which really says a lot for their how they put stuff together. The Vindicators, which are going to be the new Lion troops, where are they at? Oh, this guy right here. These are pretty cool. You know, they kind of remind me a little Roman, I guess Greco-Roman kind of sort of look, more human, more like upright and things. And, you know, just very, very cool. This is a basic troop, but there's a flag guy, it's a signifier, I think they call it. But yeah, there's really good looking stuff, super good posing. And then I think we're over to the Cruel Boys. Yep, that was all them. And you can do the different boss for them as well. The kill boss, oh man, this thing is, wow. This thing is just crazy. Like, check this out. It is big. It's on 105 millimeter oval, and it just screams, I'm gonna kill you. There's so many stabby parts, so many little areas to just get in there and crack out and paint. I mean, you could spend hours and hours and hours just on this guy. So how does he compare to a normal Stormcast? Well, he's pretty big. Andressa, definitely semi-chonk as well. And then we've got the Killer Boss. This guy's pretty fresh. And he's one of the few that actually have options. You can switch out, I forget how it is. I think yep, it just pops out right there. And then he's got this shield that I thought was pretty neat. So I kind of prefer the shield, to be honest with you. But I don't know many people that fight with an axe and a shield, but if anybody was gonna do it, I think we could all agree it's one of these guys. That's definitely fresh. And then we didn't do the, what was it? The Swamp Caller Shaman. Oops, let me get that out of here. Oh, and the Stabby Grot. We can't forget Stabby Grot. Stabby Grot. Wow, I needed to have a drink. Stabby Grot. It's been a long day, y'all. It's been a long day. Thanks for hanging in there with me, man. It has been a roller coaster of emotion. And then the Merc Knob with the Bleacha band. I love this guy. He is great. Like, this just reminds me of like all those Uruk-hai looking dudes that always have something funny to say in the Lord of the Rings movies, or something prophetic. Well, this face just screams that to me. And then of course he's got this crazy standard, and he is just living his best orky life for sure. Crazy model. Just, I think this is probably my favorite. I don't know, maybe the Killer Boss out of the whole kit, but man, he is definitely on point with a normal Stormcast Liberator dude. Kind of crazy. Troop wise, I like these guys. The what is it? The shooter guys, Man Skewer Bolt Boys. Pretty intense. This is only 3 pieces, believe it or not. Actually, maybe it's 4. It's 4. I'm a liar. But kind of crazy once you pop them together. I don't think, like I said, they're going to be offered separately. I think that's going to be one of the things that they actually put out. Well, maybe, but they're definitely going to be part of the whole sprue. And then you got the Gut Rippers with the other characters, like I showed you earlier. And then the Gut Rippers, which there's 10 of these guys. They just look crazy. Not a whole lot of parts here either. And they got those dope squig shields. Very, very cool stuff. And then last but certainly not least is the Hobgobs, and they're tiny. So if this is your stock troop for the Cruel Boys, here's your Hobgob on a Slotta base. When was the last time we saw Slotta bases? Very, very interesting times indeed. And then when you compare those to a Stormcast Liberator, well, there you go. So you kind of get a way better idea. So overall, I think, there is value built into this product. Like we already showed you how they're going to do the different iterations of the bundles going forward in the next 8 to 12 months. But unfortunately, they wanted to rear their ugly GW head and do that FOMO thing where, they try to get everybody, funnel them over to a website where they can make full margin. And some people will, and that's great. But it's just keep in mind, the more we do that as a community, the more money comes out of our community, and we're not supporting our local community, and it's all going over to Games Workshop. They're indeed do their fair share, definitely, but at the margins they already give independent retailers, who are supposedly their partners, by the way, y'all. I think that is a more than fair margin. So there's lots of money out there to be made by everyone, but Games Workshop is beholden to their shareholders. And they have adopted this current quarter profits above all else philosophy. And over the past 6 months or so, where they got so many sales off their website because of those allocations, it seems like they have continued to try that trend even when stock is allegedly available. Allegedly. But we'll find out if what trickles down in the future. But all I'm saying is the number of these in your warehouse on Monday doesn't change on Thursday. It is not a big surprise. Oh, we don't have them for you guys. Like, come on. You knew that on Monday if they were or were not there, and you're just playing the game with everybody and retailers, and everybody's just getting strung along, and even their employees maybe potentially to some point in the trade sales area out there. So that is it for this one. Normally I would put a big spiel in here about supporting us over on Patreon, and it's getting towards the end of the month. We got lots of things going on over there. You can get a monthly miniature subscription, and we got a few openings left, but not too many, so you can jump over there. It's patreon.com/spikybits. I'm not going to really get into that because I've already talked a lot and I've gotten really emotional. It's been an emotional roller coaster today, y'all. But again, thank you for hanging in there with me. At least drop us a subscribe here on YouTube, and check us out over on Patreon if you're interested in getting ad-free content or monthly miniature crates back in the mail.